Hello and welcome to Gaga Knits. My name's Anita and I live in South Wales in the UK, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Anita Bowl, and show notes can be found in the description box below. Today is Tuesday the 25th of May 2021, and I'm here to share with you what crafty things I have been doing this month. So I have some knitting, sewing, some acquisitions, and also I have been tagged by the lovely Tina from Simply in Stitches to share my bucket list of six things off my bucket list for 2021. So I shall do that later. And at the very end, I have some photos of a walk we took recently in May in a woods near us, where we saw lambs, bluebells, and something that I think you can only find in Wales. Right, so I shall start with the knitting. I have a finished object, which is my J sweater. Really pleased with this. I did try blocking it, but I'm not really very good at blocking, so I need to do it again, I think, a bit better, just to it looks a bit sort of gathered here, but it is loose enough. I didn't do it too tight. Now you needed 3 balls of the main colour and 1 of the contrast, and I used the Stylecraft Highland heathers in heather and Loch, and they're 100 gram balls, and I had 300 grams of the main colour and 100 grams of the contrast, and I only needed 250 grams of the main according to the pattern, but I knew I wanted to make long sleeves instead of the 3/4 sleeves that is in the pattern. Here's the pattern here. You can't really see, but the sleeves just sort of end just below her elbow. But in a DK weight sweater, I thought I like to have long sleeves. I thought if it's a very fine weight sweater, 3/4 sleeves, but a thick jumper, you want long sleeves. So I just put a bit of the colour work on the ends of the sleeve, and then a really deep cuff. And I was knitting this from its top down, and I was knitting down the body, and when I got to, I'd used 2 balls of the main colour and I only had 1 left. I weighed it out to 250 grams, did the sleeves, and then what I had left I carried on knitting down the jumper, and that worked quite well. And I had to put the contrast on the bottom as a ribbing because I ran out. That I had that much of the blue left, which is okay, but I would have rathered it be blue because I think it's more flattering if the around your hips and the larger area was the same colour. But not to worry, I'm really pleased with it, and it's nice and not too oversized, but just a nice casual fit, which is what I wanted. That's pretty much, I'm just checking I didn't miss anything out, because I usually miss lots of information out. And the next finished object I have is a very small one. I didn't show you last time because a friend of mine in work has just become a grandmother, and her little grandson was born 5 weeks prematurely, and he only weighed 3 pounds something, very, very tiny. So I've made a little Babbity, and it's a premature baby set, and there's a cardigan and a hat, but I've just done the cardigan, and I've done the very smallest size, the small premature baby size, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry, as is the J sweater, but I will leave all the information in the show notes, like I said. And look at this. This is the cardigan I made. It's so tiny, teeny tiny, and it was lovely to make. Now in the pattern it is top down, and then you're supposed to knit the sleeves so that they look like they're in garter stitch, but I like the look of them when they're smooth because I think it shows the yarn up nicer. And I did try and get the sleeves the same, So I used the Magi-knit Baby DK from James C. Brett. I bought this several years ago when we went to Saundersfoot and they had a craft fair, and I think you can't get it anymore. I'm sure that's what the lady said. It's lovely and soft, and it's 90% acrylic, 10% nylon, and it's double knit, so I use 4mm needles, and I wound off that much yarn to try and get my sleeves to match, so I made sure I was on the blue, but they still came out differently. So like Tina from Simply in Stitches said, they are sister sleeves, not twins. She said that for socks, but I like that. They're sisters, not twins, so they don't match, but I think overall, because it's quite patterned, it looks cute, and the buttons are just little ones that I had from Stash. So that can go to the little baby now. Hopefully I'll get a photo of him in it. It's hard to imagine. This, if you can see behind me on the door, is the little sweater I made for Arthur, my lunar lapin, and it is actually, you get it. Because it looks small over there, but it's not. This is the size of a jumper for a toy, and this is the cardigan for a premature baby. Oh, he's going to be so tiny. So that can go to him now. And they are my only two finished objects in knitting. And then I have a half finished object. Now, if you've got sunglasses, put them on now, because this is very bright. Here it is. So this is my first sock that I have made using the yarn that I won from Kellyanne from Yarn Tales by the Sea, and it still doesn't show you as bright as it is. It's really bright, absolutely lovely. And this sock I used my own sock recipe that I have come up with from last time, that I talked about in my last episode, where I cast on 56 stitches and I did 15 rows of rib, 2x2 rib, and a slip stitch rib heel and a rounded wedge toe. And this design here is a free pattern, and it is from La Maison de Saba. And it's a free pattern on Ravelry, but it's not a pattern, she says, it's a recipe, and the pattern or the recipe was meant to be for toe up socks, and I knit mine cuff down, so the pattern should actually look like that, but mine obviously looks like that. Ooh, but I think that's really effective, and I didn't want to do contrast heels or anything. One, because I didn't have a bright plain coloured yarn to go with this, but also because I just wanted the whole thing to be glorious in the same colour, and I really enjoyed knitting it. But I definitely suffer from second sock syndrome, because I love knitting the first one and seeing how it's going to turn out, and then once I've knitted one, that's it, I've done it, but I have to knit another one. So I've put it to one side so I can get on with other things, and I'm about ready to start knitting the other one now. I just need to take a little time away and then do the next one. And with this one, where have I put them? Oh, that's the recipe there, the La Maison de Saba, and if you can see the difference, I don't know if you can really tell the difference in the stitches. Theirs are going the other way, but I like these. I think it's really nice. And I bought some higher bamboo circular knitting needles from Ellie at Craft House Magic, and they are these flexible ones and bamboo, so I thought I'd give them a try, and they're quite sharp and they were actually quite nice to use. So they're a sort of cross between the circulars, the 9-inch circulars, and TPNs, and they were quite nice, so I enjoyed using those. It's nice to try something different. And my other work in progress that I have here in my beautiful bag from Ellie, Craft House Magic, that I won in a giveaway, always recommend. what's the word? Always recommend entering giveaways. I don't know where my mind went. So I am knitting the Jewels, I think it's called the Jewels Shawl. Yes, the Jewels Shawl. I'll put a picture in because I haven't got one on the instructions. By Ellie, another Ellie from Tyddyn Bryn, and this is her yarn, and it is so nice to knit with. It's so pretty, and every 10 or so stitches the colour changes. It's really enjoyable. The yarn is called Flower Meadow, and it's her rustic 4-ply made from all her own sheep, and I'm really enjoying it. I've just got to the section where you were starting to do the lace at the end of the, it's a triangular shawl, so you've got that at the top and then the lace comes down at the bottom. So I've just done a few rows of that, but it's so enjoyable because the yarn just changes colour so often. It just changes colour and you go along and then it's another colour. Oh, it's just beautiful. It is rustic, it's quite rough, and I'm hoping it isn't going to be, I am a little bit sensitive to yarn if it's really woolly, but hopefully, people say when you wash and block them, the yarns, they get softer, so I'm hoping it will. And if it doesn't, I'm going to hang it up somewhere in here so that it looks nice on the podcast. So I've been working on that. This was the thing I wanted to get finished, and I was working on the body, and it would get very boring going round and round and round, just knitting and knitting and knitting. It was never ending. And then because I did a deep cuff at the bottom in 1 by 1 rib, that was quite monotonous as well. But I'm glad I got it done now, and I wanted to get on with my other things. So now I can work on my shawl and I can work on my other sock. That's all my knitting. Now we need to go on to, I've got my list. Sewing finished objects. Right, as I have so many things, I'm going to have to stop now and move all this away and get my sewing things, so I won't be a moment and I'll be back. I'm back. Right, sewing. So I've got some finished objects in sewing. If you remember, I was going to make a laptop bag for Josh, my son, and here it is, all finished. It's looking a little bit worse for wear because he's been using it, and his laptop fits in perfectly in the top here, and then I've just put some pockets in there for the various leads and different things he wanted, and a pocket on the front for the handset thing that he plays his games on. Obviously I'm not very technical when it comes to games, so that's just like that. And I did find a pattern on the internet, and I took some details from it, sort of copied and pasted the information across, and then put my own measurements in, and then went back onto the internet to find it because I thought I should show you where it is if you wanted to do it. And I couldn't find, even though I looked the same search, I couldn't find the same thing again. And also then I did watch a video of someone making a bag slightly differently to learn some of the techniques of how to put the various bits together, and I couldn't find that either. So basically I measured the laptop and allowed some extra around, and then just did it pretty much like a project bag. And then I put some thick wadding on the outside and some thinner wadding on the inside pockets and things. So anyway, he's happy with that. And this was the fabric I got from Dunelm, and I have quite a bit left over, and I have another project that's on my bucket list that I'm going to use this fabric for, so nothing's going to be wasted. I had to brave it and go into Josh's room and get that bag today. He's in work, so I'll put it back before he even knows it's gone. And then I also made my sister-in-law a peg bag because she saw the one I made for Jodie and she wanted one. So here's here is hers out of some Cath Kidston fabric, and the inside is just some curtain fabric where I shortened some curtains, and that's the bit that was left. I thought it went quite well with the buildings and everything. And inside is a hanger, and it's just a children's wooden hanger from IKEA. You can buy them in a set, and I think they're a brilliant size for peg bags, better than a plastic hanger because they're quite firm. So I can send this away to her now that I've finished it. And I used a template, but not the pattern. I'll just keep that here a minute. From this book, Little So and So, and there's a pattern in here for a peg bag, so I used the template, like I say, but I didn't do all the embroidery on it. I just used the template, and I enjoyed it so much, and because I liked the embroidery on there, I've decided to make myself one, and I've got this as the fabric for around the back, but on the front I've got this linen, and I have started to sew the little washing line. I don't know if you can see. Why can't you see the... Oh, because I'm looking at the front and you're looking at the back, sorry. So there's the washing line, and I've drawn on the various extra little bits. So I've done the teddy, and I've done a shirt, and at the bottom I've done the little laundry basket. But on the actual peg bag in the book, they've got a sort of child or teddy or something. I didn't like that, so I took that off, and I've just done the laundry. So basically what I did was I photocopied the picture inside the book, and then I drew around it with felt pen, and I stuck this to a window. I put the linen fabric over the top, and then I sort of drew out the outline using a friction pen, pilot friction pen, because that comes off with heat, and then just started stitching. Oh, I love doing it. And then there's no skill, it's just a little running stitch. So it's very enjoyable. So I'm looking forward to finishing that, because this has got to be the 5th peg bag that I've made, and it's the first one I've made for myself. I tend to make something for someone, and then someone else says, "Oh, I like that. Could you make one for me?" And then I do, and then by the time I think of making one for myself, I'm so fed up of making the same thing over and over, I don't make one. So to determine this time, I wanted a peg bag, so I'm going to make that for myself. So that's all my sewing works in progress and finished objects. Now we can go on to acquisitions. So to start with, the reason why I've bought these next items was I recently discovered a new to me podcast called Show and Tell, and it's hosted by a lady called Billy, and she lives in New York, and she loves knitting vintage items, and she also does a lot of interviews with other vintage knitters on her channel, and they do interviews through Zoom. And although I don't dress vintage, I like the look of the vintage items, and they just look so put together, and some of the knitting patterns that the ladies were talking about and the challenges they had, I thought I don't really push myself enough. And not that you need to, but I wanted to do something a little bit different, a little bit out of my comfort zone, say. So I have bought this book called Coronation Knits by Susan Crawford. I do have one of her books, the oh, I can't remember which it is. I'll put it on here. And although I like the patterns, I haven't made anything from them, from the book. There are some I do like, but some of them, the shoulders are really oversized, which I know if that was the fashion, okay, fair enough, but I would have liked it if she'd done a pattern with poofy shoulders for people who were brave, and then the people who are not so brave, an alternative, less poofy one. But anyway, I've got this book that I bought from Susan Crawford's website. She's actually got a sale on some of her books at the moment, so this book was only £5, and when you sent for this, you did have to pay a couple of pounds postage, but you also get the e-book. But I do like to flick through a real book, so there's some lovely things in here. I don't know if you can see me flicking like that. I don't really want to give anything away, but the one I'm going to do is right at the back, and it is that one. So it's a little short-sleeved jumper. Now, I said I like long sleeves like in the J, but this is 4-ply, so I think it would be nice. If it would be nice for work, yeah, you can see the short sleeves there. And it's not really vintage, it's got a little bit of cabling on the neckline there, so I thought that's quite delicate. And the back, don't know if you'll be able to see, but it has oh, my camera's always the wrong way around. Some little buttons there so that you've got quite a tight neck. So I went on to Wool Warehouse, and they always send you your yarn in these nice bags, and I bought some drops, Baby Alpaca silk, this just in cream. I think it's colour 100, but it's cream. It's very, very soft, so I'm looking forward to knitting that. And I bought 6 50-gram balls, 50 grams. You can never see it when you're looking for it, can you? I think they're 50-gram balls, 6 of those to knit that. And then the next acquisition wasn't bought. It came from my lovely sister-in-law. Sent me another box full of yarn and yarny goodness. How best to show you? Right, put it on my lap, show you some of the things. So she sent a couple of things that were just sort of loose, so I'm not sure what yarn that is, but that can be added to something. And then she has sent me some Anita Sun, which is 100% baby alpaca. 100% baby alpaca. There, all wrapped up nicely. I think she must worry about moths or something where they are. And then some small skeins of Queen Anne hand-dyed lace yarn. And is that a navy blue, a very charcoaly grey blue, and then a sort of magenta colour. And some Knit Picks Hawthorn Fingering in Park Rose. I'm going to leave them all in bags because I haven't got any projects lined up for them yet. And then some yarn that she got when they were travelling in China, and it's 100% hand bait, but we don't really know anything about it because it's all in Chinese. I mean, when I start making things with them, I'll get them out to show you because that's reflecting. It's purple and grey and blue, and lots of these from China as well. And I think that looks like it's double knit. Like I say, I'll just show you, all in Chinese, so not a clue. And we've got some Karen Simply Soft. I like these because they come with patterns on the bands. So we've got some of those here. And more of those blues. Another one of these baby yarns that she sent me before. Bernat Baby Coordinates. Not much more. A ball of Peyton's Classic Wool Worsted in cream. Now, she must have got that in America because we don't really do worsted in Britain. And I've got some flowery buttons, some liquid stitch original permanent adhesive. You can use that instead of stitching. And then last but not least, this huge box, again from China, full of pink. Janine likes pink yarn. She didn't know what it was, but it looks quite thick, so I'm not sure, but you can't even, just don't have a clue what these things are. It's nice and soft. Oh, if anyone can read Chinese, can they read that? So yes, I don't know, even if you knew what needle size was used, then you could perhaps guess, but I can't read any of it, so I don't know. But I'm thinking it's probably DK. So they're not quite all my acquisitions, because I do have one more which is in with my bucket list items, which we will move on to next. I had to move everything round again then, sorry about that. Right, so now we're on to my 6 projects from my bucket list for 2021. As I say, Gina from Simply in Stitches was tagged to share 6 of her projects, and she in turn tagged me and 2 other podcasters for theirs, and I then have to share 6 of mine and then tag 3 other podcasters, which I will do at the end. And I always have a huge list of projects, because when I watch people on YouTube, I see things they've made I want to make, and I see people on Instagram, and just generally I will never ever run out of projects to make. So I had to think of 6. I tried to think of 6 different crafts and things like that, just to make it a bit more interesting. And so in no particular order, here are my 6. Now this is the thing that I purchased because I want to make this for my grandson Harry. He loves the video game Plants vs Zombies, and I bought on Etsy this blanket pattern, and it's a crocheted blanket pattern, and you can make these squares of the different plants and zombies. And I showed it to Harry and I said, would you like me to make you one of these blankets? And he said yes, he would. So I'm going to start on that at some point. Hopefully I'll have it finished ready for the cooler weather in the autumn and the winter. And I've looked, and I have got several of the colours needed here, mostly Stylecraft leftovers, and there's some of this Marianna that I've used in the past, and I think I got that in Shawls, and I'm going to go to Shawls to see if I can get some of the other colours, because I know for a fact I haven't got grey. I've got a little bit of black in here. I need some white, the dark green, maybe a dark brown, and a few others. It doesn't matter if the colours are a little bit off, but I want to try and keep them as near to the proper colours as possible, because obviously he will want them the same as the programme. So I will be making that for Harry. And then the second item is also, well, it's not for Harry, it's more something that Harry has done. Now when it's my birthday or Christmas, and I don't know if it's just for me, whether he does it for other people, but when Harry writes my card, he always doodles all over the envelope. Now a couple of years ago, this was the envelope he sent to me with my birthday card in it, and I didn't have the heart to throw it away because we're all on there, and I just love it, and I have kept it on my notice board for a long time. And when I started doing my peg bag with this, doing this sort of idea where I stenciled the pattern through the window onto the fabric, I thought I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to photocopy it, I'm going to draw around all the outlines in a thick pen, and then I'm going to stick that to a window and put some linen over the top and draw all these out with my friction pen, and then I'm going to stitch it the same as the peg bag, all in black, and put it in a frame and keep it forever, because although I've stitched it, it will be Harry's work. I mean, he's even got Charlie, that's little Jack over there, that's me, Gaga, Bumpy, Harry, oh, it's just lovely. So that's going to be one of my projects, and then I might put the picture up over here above his bed for when he stays. That would be nice. So that's project number 2. Like I say, they're not in any particular order. And number 3 is we've got a small table and chairs out in the garden, little wooden ones, and they're just wooden slatted, and I'm going to make some cushion covers for the seats, something like these here in this book, but I'm not going to have those frills. I might try and do some piping, because I'm not really a frilly girly type. And this is in Sewing in No Time. There's lots of nice things in there, and I like that patchwork quilt as well. Might do that as well at some point. And here is some of that fabric. I'm going to make the cushions in this from Dunelm, and I shall probably go back to Dunelm to get some foam to make the cushions nice and soft on our little derrieres. So that was 1, 2, 3. Oh, number 4. I'm in the wrong order now. So number 4. Several years ago, a friend bought me this Tunisian crochet workshop book, and I was starting to have a little go at making squares of all the different stitches. Well, I got to about 3 and gave up. And so it tells you all about the different stitches in here, so that's why I've got this book. And one day I would really like to make that blanket that's in the back. Well, in the back, it's the last project in the book, I think it's the most complicated. But in showing you this, I'm not making something out of this, I'm making something out of this. Inside Crochet, you will probably no longer be able to get this magazine, because when I looked back to see when I got this, it was 2015, so quite a long time ago. It was issue 66. If you're into the Moomins, I did make that Moomin, gave it to Martin's friend because he liked Moomins. I'm going to have a go at making these crocheted lampshade covers. They are made with Tunisian lace lampshade, so you use Tunisian stitches. So I thought, well, I'll need the other book so that it'll give me more detail on the stitches. So I've got a bedside lamp on either side of my bed, and I have made little fabric covers for them in the past, and they still look nice, but they don't go with the decor of the room. So I'm going to make 2 of these lampshades in some coordinating yarn, which I haven't chosen yet, to go in there. I quite like making things for the home. So that was number 4. Number 5 is my grandma. I still love my grandma. When people pass away, you still love them, don't you? Made me many years ago a tea cozy, and I still have it. Look, you can see all the tea stains on it, and it's looking a little bit worse for wear. I don't quite know what she was thinking when she did that pom-pom, because it's very peculiar, but I will never ever part with this tea cozy, but it is looking a bit sorry for itself. So I want to make another one. Now this is the teapot that I want to make it for, and Jodie and Josh bought me this teapot for Mother's Day many years ago. So I've had it for a long time, and it's very pretty in itself. Doesn't need a tea cozy, but you do if you want to keep your tea warm. And I have recently moved over to buying loose tea and using a strainer, which is something my grandma used to do as well, but mainly because of the plastics in the tea bags, and because Martin's quite into gardening, I keep the loose tea leaves and he puts them in the garden. So I have this book, which doesn't have the title. Oh, there it is on the side. The Gentle Art of Knitting, and in it they have these tea cozies, which could be the identical pattern to my grandma's tea cosy, really, couldn't it? So I'm going to make one of those for my tea cozy, for my teapot rather, and I'm probably going to use these, which are Stylecraft leftovers. When I was looking through my big bag of leftovers for Harry's blanket, I thought these would be perfect. I was just going to make it with these two, I always drop them, these two, but I weighed them and it wouldn't be enough, so I'm going to put that colour with them. And as when I use the teapot with the tea cozy, it'll go on my dining room table. My living room and dining room, because they're living room, dining room, have got autumnal colours, so I thought those three would look quite nice with that. And last but not least, Jodie sent me some pictures that I'll insert here of some little caravan felt bunting, and she said, could I please make her some for the caravan, because I gave them my caravan, so they're going off on that now through the summer, and they've got a nice awning, and she wants to put some fairy lights up with this caravan bunting. So I have got all this felt in my stash, so I'm going to go through that, and I've made some I made a template, which is a good point because I've made it but I can't think where I've put it. Put the template somewhere safe for a caravan, but you'll see the pictures. It's going to be very similar to the pictures that she sent me. So I think, and with that I can just use my glue gun, and I might do a little bit of stitching, like blanket stitching around some of the doors and things to make it look a bit nicer. But I think I should do that maybe as one of the first projects, so that she can have it and put it in the caravan for the summer. So they are my 6 projects. Now I have to name 3 fellow podcasters. I have to tag 3 to do the same thing. So could these 3 ladies please, on their next podcasts, share their bucket list, or 6 projects from their bucket list for 2021? Because a bucket list really means for your lifetime, doesn't it? But this is just for 2021. So I have chosen Dawn from Dawn's Days, because she likes to do lots of different crafts, and she is struggling a little bit with her health at the moment, but it doesn't mean she has to do these 6 projects, just to list 6 that she would like to do. So while she's not able to do much crafting, maybe she could do lots of dreaming of craft projects instead. And Sarah from Yarn Mugs, she makes some wonderful clothes, so I know she'll have a lot of things in her list, but she also knits as well, so I thought that might be nice to see what she would come up with, what 6 items she's got planned for the rest of the year. And also Jeanette from Crafty Creations, because she loves to do crochet and aragami animals, and she makes lovely rag dolls, and she also knits and sews, and she's got her own Etsy shop where she sells project bags and things like that, so she'll have loads of projects, no doubt. I think the difficulty for these 3 ladies is whittling it down to 6 projects. I know I had trouble with that, so hopefully the 3 will be on board with it and won't mind me tagging them, and will share their projects soon. And so finally, all I've got are the photos from our woodland walk, and like I say, Tina from Simply in Stitches and I have a little bit of a fun competition going on, where we if one shows photos of sheep, then the other one finds some, and then Tina found photos of bluebells, so I found some of those. But the extra thing in my walk this time, I think Tina's going to have a little bit of trouble finding this for herself, but we shall see. So I hope you enjoy our photos anyway, and all take care, and I shall hopefully see you around about this time next month. Bye for now.